I'm EJ Holland with the Wolverine.com. We're back with another special edition of the Wolverine Live Recruiting Show. It's obviously National Signing Day. Thank you guys for letting me know that I'm not having audio issues. I guess it's on my end, but we're not here to talk about technical difficulties. We're here to answer your questions. Let's go ahead and just get it started off here with Joe Dollar. And remember, guys, if you want to skip ahead in the line, you can leave a super chat. Just click the donate button. If you're not subscribed to the Wolverine.com, today is the day to do it. Just $10 until next football season. And we'll tell you more about that promo after we answer the first question. So we can kick things off here with Joe Dollar, who says, anyone to watch other than Jair Hill and Jamel Howard? You kind of got a smirk yesterday when asked about some surprises and said you were preparing stuff for a couple. Did those kids sign yet? Well, not necessarily a surprise, but I was prepping stuff for Carmelo English. And obviously he committed to Michigan and signed with Michigan over Kentucky. I think his recruitment got a little spoiled yesterday with the picks coming in for him, which kind of sucked. He had been burned by the Auburn media in the past, so I know he wanted to keep everything kind of low key, and he waited a while to inform the staffs. But overall, I thought that Michigan did a fantastic job there. Obviously, landing him. English is a fantastic addition. I'm sure we'll talk about him more in the next couple of questions. But in regards to your actual question, anyone other to watch than Jair Hill and Jamel Howard? Well, Jamel Howard, as of yesterday, was waiting until the late period. I don't believe he participated in his school's signing day ceremony. Jair Hill moved up his announcement to 2 Eastern. So he was originally slated for 4 Eastern. Michigan not in that top 5 graphic, but I still like where the Wolverines stand there. I haven't changed my prediction at all. Others to watch, before we started this live show, we noticed that actually one of our members noticed that Aaron Gates has not sent his national letter of intent into Florida. Michigan's obviously been trying to work their way in it with him. And you see Tyler Bootsaw asks, has Aaron Gates signed with Florida? So no, as of like 5 minutes ago, Florida did not have his national letter of intent. So that's one to keep an eye on. I mean, Michigan hosted him 3 times throughout the calendar year. They got him on campus for the spring game, got him on campus for a summer official visit, got him back on campus for the game against Illinois. Things look pretty bleak after Jim Harbaugh's in-home, especially with Florida doing really well with their NIL pitch. But Steve Clinkscale did go back out to see him after that Harbaugh in-home, and they have kept in contact. So you never know. I guess that's one that we'll monitor closely. There were a couple other guys that were committed elsewhere that we were keeping tabs on. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that Michigan was back in touch with Jeremiah Love. Nothing really happened there. He signed with Notre Dame. Brennan Parachek, who was committed to Michigan State. There was some legs to that one yesterday, and didn't really work out there, and he committed to Michigan State. Not really a big deal there, as Michigan already has 2 tight ends committed, 1 tight end committed in 24, and just got another tight end out of the portal. I mean, I don't know how many tight ends you need, but Aaron Gates is definitely one to keep an eye on here. Let's see if he gets his NLI to Florida. Let's go ahead and go over to David Postman. He says, any recruitments Michigan came up second on that you think if they had a second chance, they would have landed them? That's a kind of a weird question, but I would say, I mean, Jeremiah Love, it looks like they're going to finish second with him signing with Notre Dame. But I think had they recruited him initially as a running back and made a big push with Mike Hart involved early on, I think you could have seen him at Michigan as opposed to Notre Dame. Remember, Michigan recruited him as a cornerback, and while that pitch moved the needle a little bit, I think his heart was more set on playing running back. So Jeremiah Love would be one. I think the biggest miss where Michigan finished second was Chris Peel, top 100 cornerback, same school as Jaden Davis, Charlotte Providence Day. Peel has outstanding track speed, regarded as one of the best cornerbacks in the country. Obviously picked Georgia, but if Michigan had to do it over, I still feel like there is an outside chance that they could have won that battle. And there's a need for corner. I mean, Michigan kind of had to settle a little bit there, getting DeJuan Waller late. Adding Peel would have obviously been awesome to pair along with Jair Hill if he ends up in the class as well. Let's go ahead and go down to sorry, we had all these the audio issues, so I'm just getting to the next question. Sam Stamos, let's go ahead and touch on Carmelo English. Just bringing up a quick comment on from Sam Stamos, who says Carmelo English has signed. Yes, he did commit on his Instagram, and he is signed, so he's fully locked in and delivered. And Carmelo, again, big land on signing day, man. I mean, he's a kid that I saw on the 7-on-7 circuit like 2 years ago, and he really stood out to me. He was one of the best wide receivers on that club 7-on-7 circuit. You see here ranked as a consensus 4-star, the number 191 overall recruit nationally, number 25 wide receiver, was committed to Auburn, decommitted after they had their coaching change. Alabama hosted him for a visit, but they filled up at wide receiver after landing Jaron Hamilton, who was a former Michigan target. So he was basically down to Michigan and Kentucky 50-50 heading into today. And Michigan wide receivers coach Ron Bellamy was able to win him over. You know, Bellamy being from Louisiana has been able to connect really well with kids in the South. You saw that last cycle with Amorion Walker. You saw that this cycle with Carmelo English. And I know a lot of people gave Bellamy some flack for this cycle, only having 3 stars committed. But the late land of English is terrific for him. English can play inside or outside. Even though he's only 5'11", 182, he plays much bigger than that. He has a great catch radius, excellent body control, can go up and get it, natural pass catcher. I think he has an opportunity to make an early impact at Michigan. It wouldn't be surprising to see him get some reps either his first or second year and be a significant contributor. But he is, I believe, on the consensus, the second highest rated commit. You know, what's crazy is Michigan, as things stand right now, before the Jair Hill ceremony and maybe some others that are left out there, as things stand right now, Michigan only has 3 consensus top 200 players and 0 in the top 100. So it's a disappointing class. So it was a necessity to get some big time talents late, and English obviously fits that bill. Again, to the second highest rated commit in Michigan's class in the consensus, behind Eno Etta, who I believe is up at 119. And the other top 200 prospect is Cole Cabana, who is right at 200. Looks like we had a big super chat here from Thambone30, trying to get his super chat pulled up. Not sure why it's not pulling up on the screen. Here we go. What is the possibility of Jackson State University transfer Travis Hunter visiting Michigan? What are Michigan's chances with the Virginia cornerback transfer? So yeah, I mean, right now Michigan is definitely looking for another cornerback in the portal. Travis Hunter is arguably the best out there. I mean, he is a phenom. I had a chance to see him live a couple of times on the club 7-on-7 circuit, and he's just super, super impressive. Just a dynamic athlete that can also play wide receiver. He has game-breaking speed, great natural instincts, just makes so many plays on the ball. Just a really, really fun player to watch. But I do think that that portal recruitment, I guess is what you want to call it now, is going to have a lot of NIL involved there. So, you know, maybe Michigan does get more involved. I know there were some follows on social media, but I think he's going to be really tough to pull. He's originally from the South, and I know Georgia is interested in him as well. So if he doesn't follow Dion to Colorado, I would say it's more likely that he ends up in the South. And then, you know, Michigan's recruiting Tony Grimes, who is originally from Virginia, transferred from North Carolina. And right now it looks kind of unlikely there as well. So we'll see what other portal targets pop up as we continue through the next few weeks. Let's go ahead and go down to Anything on Malachi? Oh, sorry. Not sure what happened there. Anything on Malachi Coleman? So Malachi Coleman, top 100 athlete out of Lincoln, Nebraska, was expected to make his decision during the late period, but I believe that he just made his decision like right as I was starting this show. Yeah, he did. He committed to Nebraska. So yeah, it looks like he's signing with the Huskers today. Remember, he had an official visit scheduled for Michigan this past weekend, canceled that to go to Colorado. He did make an official visit to Nebraska right after Matt Rule arrived. Matt Rule made an in-home visit, and it looks like the Huskers were able to seal the deal. If you look at his profile here, it does say signed, so that recruitment is over. Michigan will not have a chance during the late period. Let's go down to Nick Spiker. I understand he's not committing this winter, but have you heard any updates regarding Nicholas Harbor? Yeah, so like you said, Harbor's not deciding until the late period. Won't be till February. So for right now, for the next few weeks, we are in a dead period. So Harbor can't visit any other schools. He can't, or his contact with coaches are limited because of the dead period. Michigan's going to be really hyper focused on its college football playoff game as well. So I don't think we'll know much about Harbor's recruitment until we really get into January. He has 2 official visits left, so he's used 3 on Michigan, Maryland, and South Carolina. The schools fighting for those last 2 are Georgia, Miami, and LSU. And I think with the Southern programs, they've really done a great job of selling the track programs, the NIL. But Harbor does feel comfortable at Michigan. He knows there's development available. The academics are first tier and obviously better than what the SEC schools can offer. So, yeah, I think Michigan's still very much in it. It wouldn't be surprising to see Harbor land at any of his finalists. I'm curious to see, 1, how the official visits go in January. 2, how much of it does NIL really become a factor here late? And 3, will track continue to be as big of a factor as Harbor has made it out to be during the early part of his recruitment? But again, with 2 officials left and potentially some unofficial visits, I know he told me when I last talked to him that he'd like to get back to Ann Arbor, but he'd also like to get back to Columbia to see South Carolina. He can visit Maryland at any time. They're right down the street. So still, I know it seems close because February is only a couple of months away, but still a long way to go in this recruitment with a lot of moving parts. So that's where things stand with Harbor as of right now. Stephen White says, any worry that Zach Marshall hasn't signed yet? No, not anything to worry about with Zach Marshall. In fact, I believe he's on his way to Ann Arbor, which is why he hasn't signed. He is an early enrollee, and he's set to sign today at some point, I guess whenever he gets out of the airplane or the airport and gets to Ann Arbor. But he is on his way there. He actually told me a couple of days ago that he was trying to sign in the big house, and he's all set to start practicing with the team like immediately. That was the reason for him flying out to Ann Arbor. So not really concerned about Marshall, especially with the time change out on the West Coast and him traveling and all that good stuff. Anything on the future running backs? Well, obviously Michigan signed 2 today, getting Cole Cabana and Benjamin Hall. When it comes to Cabana, he's just such a really dynamic offensive weapon. He's a guy that you can, run between the tackles, even though I don't think that's necessarily his strong suit. I still think he can do it. He's a tough runner. He's a guy that obviously you want to get on the edges. You can play him in the slot. You can play him as a wide receiver. He's a guy that can be a threat as a kick returner and a punt returner. So his versatility will really allow him to be a guy that gets on the field as a true freshman. And you look at the running back depth behind Donovan Edwards. You have CJ Stokes, who I think is going to be good, but not necessarily great. Then you have Tavier Dunlap, who has been disappointing. And after that, you have some walk-ons. So the opportunity is there for Cabana to get a lot of reps as a true running back. But since he can do so much, I think you just get him touches in a lot of different ways. He's going to be a fun player. in Michigan's offense, would be a great complement to Donovan Edwards as well. So really excited about Cole Cabana. Had a great senior year and obviously led Dexter on a deep run in the playoffs. On the flip side of the coin, you have Benjamin Hall. And Benjamin Hall is interesting. As a lot of you guys know, he was third in the pecking order at his high school, which isn't great. But he did have two other Division I running backs in front of him. I think when you look at Hall and you look at some of the senior tape, you see the vision, you see the balance, you see that he is able to turn it upfield and has a little more speed than you would think at 5'10", 230 pounds. But with Hall, he was announced as a bruising back, but he's not exactly a bruising back. He bounces a lot of things outside. He tries to run more like his name's Cole Cabana, to be honest. I mean, Mike Hart absolutely has to get this kid to run north and south, to run over people. I mean, you're 5'10", 230 pounds. I get you're a little fast. Like I said, he's pretty quick for his size, but I mean, with being 230 pounds, with his build, being a guy that has a really thick upper half, tree trunks for legs, I mean, he should be bowling over people between the tackles, and he doesn't necessarily do that. It's kind of like he avoids contact. So I think if anybody can get something out of Benjamin Hall, it's definitely Mike Hart. I'd love to see Benjamin Hall succeed and prove me and others wrong. He's a great kid, intelligent kid, awesome in the classroom, awesome to talk to as well. So, Benjamin Hall has the personality that you want to root for. I still really like him as a kid. I think that with his running style, it just needs to be adjusted. There are some things there. That's why Mike Hart took him so early. But again, I think he has to get him to run like a power back as opposed to a scat back. Let's go ahead and go down to will Chris Peel flip if Cypress goes to Georgia? I'm not sure if Peel signed already, but haven't heard anything significant in regards to Chris Peel and Michigan at all. I know our producer Hutch is pulling up Peel's profile on the back end, so we'll see if he signed. Yep, he did already sign. So sorry, JR, no possibility of Chris Peel. Let's go to C. Fossey. He says, where does UM fall now in the top 20? Well, they entered the day ranked number 20. They will get that boost from Carmelo English. If they are able to land Jair Hill here in the next couple of hours, remember he moved his announcement up to 2 Eastern. It's unclear what number Michigan will be just because there are some moving parts. Other schools are adding players to their classes and things like that. It looks like Hutch has the updated rankings pulled up on our screen here, and Michigan is still number 20. So like I said, they got a boost from Carmelo English committing, but other schools have added players as well. So right now, Michigan at 20. Look at that, Michigan State at 21. So a close little battle there to see who finishes ranked ahead of who. But if they are able to land Jair Hill, they'll get the on 300 boost, so they'll get some extra points, and Hill would be the highest rated commit in the class. So I would think that would safely put them in the top 20. As of right now, it is the number 20 class overall nationally. So thank you to our producer Hutch for pulling that up. Before we get to our next question, guys, I do want to remind you all to subscribe to the Wolverine.com today. Just $10 until next football season. Gets you premium insider recruiting information. You can take part in our all-day signing day chat. You get insider access to the team, especially with bowl practices here. You get insider information on basketball recruiting, NIL, transfer portal, and you get to be part of a great message board community over on the Fort, all for $10 until August of 2023. If you haven't liked this video, leave a like. It looks like we have 450 people in here, so we should have 450 likes. Make sure to like the video. If you want to skip ahead in the line, we have about 10 minutes left. If you want to skip ahead, make sure to leave a super chat by clicking the donate button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've been dropping videos all day long. We had a special signing day series where we spotlighted recruits and did some Zoom interviews with them, and those have turned out really, really well. So make sure to check those out and subscribe to our YouTube page for free. Plus, last promo thing before we get back to the questions. Our Zach Libby will be in Kankakee at 2 Eastern live streaming the Jair Hill commitment. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, this is where the Jair Hill commitment will happen. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out the stream as we get closer to 2 p.m. Eastern. Down to Morgan H. Very quickly, did the Jeremiah Love kid from Notre Dame sign? So for those of you that joined late, yes, he did sign. So no possibility for Michigan to flip him. Reyes Blythe says any potential flips on signing day? Not necessarily right now. We are keeping tabs on Aaron Gates since he has not submitted his NLI to the Gators. At least he had not before this show started. So we'll see where things end up there. Is Hill going to sign today to either Illinois or Michigan? Like I said, we are streaming the Jair Hill ceremony here on this YouTube channel, so make sure to subscribe. I have my prediction in for Michigan. I still feel pretty good about that. We pulled up a random comment. Let's go back to C. Foss. If you combine transfers with NILs, Michigan must be in the top 15. There's no combined rankings when you look at transfers. It's tough to lump them all into a class just because those guys have different years of eligibility. So they're not really part of the 2023 recruiting class. Now, what I will say is the transfer portal has been very, very kind to Michigan. Right now, Michigan, again, having the number 20 class overall in 2023, but the number 1 transfer portal class, which is crazy considering the admissions hurdles that Michigan has had to go through in the past. But the Wolverines have done a terrific job of pulling top end talent out of the portal. So I guess if you were to combine them, they would be in the top 15. But again, it's just so hard to do that with the years of eligibility and the fact that they're just not 2023 recruits. But when you have a pretty disappointing class like this one, where you had back-to-back college football playoff appearances, Big Ten titles, where you were kind of expecting a top 10 class, it's always great to bolster it with the transfer portal. And that's exactly what Michigan has done. So having the number 20 class doesn't sting as much when you have the number 1 transfer portal class. And hey, there could still be another addition or two. Like we talked about earlier, Michigan would still like to add some cornerback depth. So we'll see. Looks like we have another $2 super chat from Thambone30. What's the news on Fentrell Cypress? So Fentrell Cypress, another transfer portal cornerback target. He is one that Michigan really wants, but he's also one that a lot of other schools want. So right now we haven't heard too much buzz on him just yet, but Michigan is definitely trying with him. And if you believe the On3 transfer portal prediction machine, right now it looks like Ohio State has the lead. So we'll see if Michigan can overcome that. I would say the positive takeaway from that is it looks like he's very open to coming to Big Ten country. Let's go down to Reyes Blythe, and he says, is there any news on offensive lineman Taliafi Ta'ala out of Utah? So 3-star prospect. Michigan hosted him for an unofficial visit in October for the game against Penn State. They were going to bring him back for an official visit in December. That has not happened yet. And as you can see here, he is a 3-star prospect, ranked as the number 403 overall recruit nationally per the On3 consensus. But with the work that Michigan has done in the transfer portal, landing Nugent and Hinton, I don't really think they're going to make a move for Ta'ala. He's still at the end of the board, kind of dangling there, I guess, but I don't expect him to pick Michigan today, so I'm not sure if he's signed anywhere already. If he takes it into the late period, then Michigan could revisit, but he's just a guy that kind of fell down the board, and with the transfers coming in, there isn't really a lot of room for him right now. Let's go ahead and go down to let's just answer Mark Majowski really quick. I will not be discussing the Michigan TCU game, but our team guys will have a ton of content here on the YouTube channel discussing Michigan TCU, especially after signing day. Today is all about recruiting, but obviously Michigan has a big game coming up. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button for free. And if you're not subscribed to the Wolverine.com, you can sign up now for just $10. Let's go ahead and go down to Joe Dollar. He says, do you see adding Jair Hill, Jamel Howard, and Nicholas Harbor as the best case scenario to close this class? Or could a late push for a late signer still happen? So, yeah, I would say the best case scenario is probably that. I mean, there could be a couple of guys that pop up. We'll see what's left after after today. There's always guys that decide not to sign and get cold feet, or there's some surprises of guys that just don't sign, or some late risers where coaches have another chance to watch senior film during the holidays. So we'll see if anybody else pops up, but those are the guys. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, before we started the live stream, Aaron Gates had not signed his NLI with Florida, so that would be another best case scenario. But Jair Hill, Jamel Howard, Nicholas Harbor, those are probably the guys, especially with Malachi Coleman. For those of you that joined in late, he did sign with Nebraska today after saying he was going to take his recruitment into the late period. So he is completely off the board. Michigan will not be getting a visit from Malachi Coleman in the late window. Let's go down to Rob Goins, who asked a similar question. What is the best possible players we could get? Jair Hill and Nicholas Harbor, obviously two of those guys, but one that our previous commenter mentioned is Jamel Howard. Don't forget about Jamel Howard. Big 300-pound nose out of Chicago. He's ranked as a 3-star prospect, but really like him. Former Wisconsin commit. I think he's a guy that could definitely outplay his ranking, and he is the top nose on Michigan's board. So it's not just all about Jair Hill and Nicholas Harbor. Let's go down to Nick Spiker, and he says, if JJ enters the draft next season, do you see them potentially starting Jaden Davis year one? Seems like a scary gap year in quarterback play. Yeah, that would be a scary gap year. I know they just added Tuttle from the portal. Not sure how many years of eligibility he has remaining, but Davis Warren, they've been grooming as a really good backup. I think he could potentially fill in. I mean, if I were Michigan, I would have taken a 2023 quarterback specifically. I would have targeted Brady Drogosh, who was committed to Cincinnati after they missed out on Dante Moore. That's the guy I would have gone after, but Michigan decided to put all its eggs in the Jaden Davis basket. But yeah, I mean, he'll for sure have a chance to compete for that starting job if JJ is gone by the time he gets there. But yeah, it's definitely interesting that Michigan decided not to go with a 23. I think, Hutch, we already got to that super chat from Tambone. So we'll go back to the Nick Spiker question really quick. But yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of my overall thoughts on it. You look at the guys that Michigan's brought in the last few cycles. Alex Orji is a plus athlete that could play multiple positions. Same thing with Kendrick Bell this cycle. Jaden Denegal, we'll see, wasn't very highly touted as a recruit and didn't even see much action during the spring game. So yeah, quarterback depth could be a concern. I mean, getting Jaden Davis on board here soon is key. All right, guys, it looks like we've hit half an hour. Let's see if there's any other questions. Let's go down and just do some quick hitters. Rob Goen says, what time is the Harbor announcement? Harbor is announcing during the late period, so there is no time today. Let's go down to Harry Harvey. Does Michigan usually sit around number 20, or do they usually rank higher? This is the lowest ranked class I've ever covered during my time on the Michigan beat, so they definitely recruit at a higher level. So, with the rise of NIL and all the staff changes in the offseason, I think that definitely hurt, as well as Harbaugh's NFL flirtation. Let's go ahead and go down to any possible shockers today. Like I said, guys, we're monitoring Aaron Gates since he hadn't sent in his NLI to Florida before this show started. So that's one to potentially keep an eye on. I keep confusing NLI and NIL. I feel like I'm going to do it all day. And it looks like, we have another one from Harry Harvey. What's the percentage we get Jaden Davis? Right now, I would say let's go with 70%. Still a little wary considering, that he's delaying again, but Michigan remains the heavy favorite. And it looks like that's pretty much it, guys. All right. I appreciate y'all for doing this, hopping in, getting me questions. Really enjoyed it. For more signing day coverage, head over to thewolverine.com. We're having an all-day chat. It's just $10 until next football season. Like I said, the Jair Hill commitment will be streaming live here at 2 p.m. Eastern. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our Zach Libby will be on site for that. And make sure to like this video. Again, helps with the algorithm. And also check out our other videos from today. We had some great signing spotlights, interviews with guys that sign. So yeah, I appreciate it. I will see you guys for our 7 p.m. show. That was the last thing I was forgetting. I knew I was forgetting something. Our 7 p.m. show will recap National Signing Day. So make sure to join us for that one. Should be fun.